Welcome back to the Candy Colored Studio. I'm artist Katrina Berg. This is episode 252. I'm here with the loveliest Sarah Trop. And Sarah, welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you for having me. As a fellow artist, I love your work. I spent some time perusing everything and I just couldn't get enough of your eye, of your style, and I was really excited to get on here and chat with you today.
You are so kind. And I ditto. I spent so much time on your Instagram and your website just getting to know you and your design. And of course, just you're just such an uplifting and wonderful person. And I'm just so excited to have this chat.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say and to even check it out. We had a fall festival this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, and I did a gallery of artwork, right? And one person who won like one of the national art awards for this country 2 years ago, he came and I was like, don't look at it. And that's
I saw it. I saw your
so
display and I
talented.
was going to ask you, is that all your paintings?
It is, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Sarah, they were so beautiful. Like just beautiful
Thank you.
landscapes are the ones that I saw.
Yeah, they're all mostly, there's two abstracts, but mostly from my travels. And I love to take beautiful photos and then turn them into paintings. So
Oh,
nothing
that's,
your level, but
oh
I
no.
love creative.
No, I think
Uh,
it's amazing. I think it's so great, Sarah. And
thank-
being a designer, I mean, you get to try to exhibit your creativity in lots of different ways. And so I think it's great that you're doing that. That's amazing.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Well, let's have you introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about your background, about you, your family, where you live, just whatever you want to share.
Do you want my social security and home address as well?
Yes. So
Okay, good.
everyone can send you thank yous and gifts. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take gifts. That'd be great. Uh, Hi, when I don't know you're coming. No, so I'm Sarah. My husband John and I we own Fun Cycled, which is this interior design and build company. It started as a furniture repurposing company 12 years ago, and 13 years ago. Time flies when you're having fun. And while we were starting in the furniture world, I started it in January, and then by April, I was able to quit my job and go full time doing furniture repurposing. I wanted to do that because I wanted to be home with my kids. They were 2 and 3 at the time, and so I just was craving more time with them. So every time they were on their naps or when they went to bed at like 8, I would go down in the basement and paint for hours. And thankfully, I don't need a lot of sleep. And a year and a half after I started, my husband John joined me and he started doing kitchen cabinet painting and furniture painting. And then as we were delivering furniture, customers would say, "How should I design this room?" And I thought, oh gosh, I don't know, I'm not a designer. And I would say that. And then we were on HGTV Flea Market Flip, and we got a storefront. And then when I had that storefront, everyone would come in and say, "Oh my gosh, design my house, design my house." And I finally said yes. And the first client I went into, I said, "Why would you choose me? I don't have a design background." And she said, "I know you'll take old things and make them beautiful, not just gut them and put in something new." And so I thought, oh, that is kind of the difference between me and others designers is not that all of them do, but most like to work with a clean new palette, things that you order. And I love to take old homes and salvage what we can, be sustainably minded as we are able to be, and create beautiful spaces around that. And then over the next, you know, however many years in business, I pivoted more to design, and we paint kitchen cabinets and furniture still, but more through the design work. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it. And there's something special about old homes, but even just old furniture. Like we built our home, but we brought in all this old furniture and chalk painted the heck out of all of it, but I also wasn't worried about it because if it has good bones, then it's going to be able to withstand the kids and all the fun. And you can always repaint it and you can fun cycle it. And it's just so great. But you have all of that history and the people that used it before that kind of become part of your life. And I just think that is so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I love when anything in a home, when I'm designing or just when I'm talking to people about how to help them enjoy their home. I love when anything in a home has a story behind it. And it could be a story of this is my great grandmother's dresser that we've redone 12 times. Or it could be as simple as, oh my word, we were driving on this back road and we saw this chair and it needed everything redone, but we did it ourselves. We DIY'd it. We watched some tutorials. We had so much fun doing it. We nailed our finger, but outside of that, it was so much fun, and it creates these storytelling moments throughout your space that you remember, your kids remember, and it's a talking point as your friends come in. So I couldn't agree with what you said more. I love the stories behind repurposed furniture.
Oh, that's so special. I love that. So yeah, the stories. I mean, it's just so powerful, isn't it? So I've noticed over the past 8 or 10 years that the accessibility of interior design services, like mostly thanks to social media and the internet in general, I feel like something that used to be out of reach, kind of like what you kept running into people that were like, oh, can you help me? Can you help me? Now it's available to everyone, obviously depending on their vision, their budget, and their willingness to DIY. So tell us a little bit more about your, I guess you gave us a, just tell us more if you want to go deeper about your journey into design and about Fun Cycle, like anything you didn't already get to share.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think I have no stats on this, but in the design world, because of things like Pinterest originally, right? 10 years ago, Pinterest coming out, and people could then picture and see DIYs or YouTube. How do I do it myself? It became, like you said, more accessible, but also it gave people an itch to make sure they were enjoying their homes. So I think it did both. It brought a level of desire to change in the design of their home while seeing the DIY. So they're thinking, yeah, I might not be able to afford an interior designer, but I could make that happen. So we would share tutorials on how to repurpose furniture. And that was actually what started the most traction. Our blog, we did a weekly blog called Tuesday's Treasures. We still do it, but it would teach people how to do things themselves or link them to items that we found helpful along the journey. So in that way, both in the furniture world and in the interior design world, we see this trend of like, how much can we do ourselves? And also, but I may need some help. And one niche that I see, at least here, I don't know if it's everywhere, but so many people in the design world want to start with like, okay, we have a $20,000 budget just to start on a bedroom or whatever. Where I have this 1 hour consult option where it can be virtual, it can be in person. And I just did a virtual a couple days ago where I literally helped her pick out everything and just said, okay, within your style, we talked a lot through the history of her home. She's a historic um, architectural expert actually locally. So we talked a lot through what is this mid-century time frame mean, what colors would work then, and then we worked backwards to kind of select product, repurpose things she had, and add architectural details in the space that were aligned with the time frame of her home. And so that was all virtual in a 1 hour consult, very attainable financially. And I like that. I like to not surprise people with costs. I like to be reachable. I like to help the DIYer, where most designers would be like, they're a DIYer, not our clientele. We want, much
Right.
higher end, which I understand from a budget perspective, but I do think it's important from a community mindset to have options for people who can't quite bring on a huge interior design project into their space. So, yeah, I mean, I can scale up to that and I do, but a huge portion of what I do will be 1 hours here, 1 hours there, and maybe a design board where I select everything for them and then they just click and order it themselves. So they like that too. And I love seeing that. One of my first questions when I go into a design job is, how handy are you? How handy is your partner? How much of the budget do you want to handle with things you can handle? Because I'm not trying to pay, every dollar out of every client. I'm trying to say it does feel good to DIY. But some people will say, I don't want to DIY. That's not my thing. And that's fine. We can do it for you. But there's a good group of people who are. And I think make those stories, have that life
Mhm.
experience, give it a go, and create beautiful memories around the design of your own home. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what sets us apart a little bit in this area. And I know I'm getting off on a bunny trail, but I also, for interior designers out there, I get questions a lot on like what will set an interior designer apart. And I say often that you need to have a lot of emotional awareness. So I
Mhm.
always say I'm a designer that is disguised as a designer, but really just a unqualified therapist. Because so much of what we swoop into are seasons of life changes, whether it's a baby coming, a marriage, a divorce, a death in the family, and all of those, the items, the house, the spaces, they're intertwined so deeply in emotion that if you're not good at processing emotion, not taking things personally. I had a design client the other day. I've been working with them for over a year. We've done multiple spaces, great people, but the husband got on the phone and I could tell by the first breath, literally how he breathed, like how he went in and out really heavily. That's how he started. He's like, and I was like, oh, we're having a rough day over there. He's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, it's not, I'm thinking it's not personal, but he's having a rough day. And so I knew how I had to walk through that consult in very, positive, but also not too positive, not like, it's all going to be fine. It's like, oh, we're in a serious, something's stressing him. And it came out, it was contractor issues, not with us, but they hired a subcontractor that was a little tricky. And so we, but really, if you want to grow as a designer, read a lot of books on emotional health, emotional integrity, learn their Enneagram numbers, learn the DISC model, understand how people are wired, and that will help you tremendously. And I think that's what people want more than anything is the support in the decisions more than they do like, oh, let me just show you what to order.
Wow, so many things, Sarah. Yeah, you're totally right. It's interesting because I recently did a commission through a designer and her client, and I did notice that it was like therapy. And she told me, she's like, we're therapy. Like, that's what we do. And you're totally right. When you bring new design and new pieces into your home, it's going to affect you emotionally, right? And like you said, if
Yeah.
you can embrace the stories and find ways to integrate, then that's one thing. But you have to be super mindful about what you're bringing into your home. And I think that that is such good advice to give to like anyone who's interested in design is to learn about emotional resilience and how to help others and how to support them. That is like such good advice. And then when you were talking, I was like, oh, I can see why Fun Cycled is so needed right now because you fill a niche that is it really hasn't had enough people to fill that, whether it's just because you encourage them to do DIY whatever they can or let you do something, like you're just very accommodating, to let people be a part of the project. And I think that that's so beautiful too, because when we are part of the creation of our home, then I think that using our agency, using our power to choose is going to make that space so much more special. And so I think that everything that you're doing is just like so needed.
Oh, thank you. You say it so well. You have to write the pitches. It's beautiful. I love.
Yeah, no. Seriously, you're doing amazing things for people and I think that's so great. So, tell us like what are some of your favorite types of design projects and what do you enjoy most about this career that you kind of fell into? Like it's amazing.
Right. Um, I mean, I'm most grateful for the humans it's brought into my life along the way. Like, I am an extrovert. I love being around people. I love meeting new people. But I think about even this week, I have all different meetups with people who have gone from clients 10 years ago to dear, dear friends this week, and we're having coffee. And I also love the other day we were driving, in our area in upstate New York, there are a lot of old homes. So our house was built in 1802. We just redid a couple of years ago an 1895 trolley house. And so it's not abnormal to see something 200 years old as we drive around. And so we were driving on a country road, and there was a really broken down old house. And my daughter goes, Mom, you need to buy that house and fix it up. And I was like, oh, I mean, she's got good bones. I want to too. And she goes, that's what we do, Mom. We make things beautiful and give them new life again. And I'm like, yeah, I love that my kids are getting to see that. There's something really fulfilling. And it's a spiritual reminder too, like the brokenness in our lives that God can create beautiful things in it through renewing us through Christ, right? Like we do this initiative called Broken to Beautiful, and we take something broken that someone couldn't afford to redo, and we have them submit like, how this is my grandma's dresser, or this is whatever, tell us a story, and then we'll pick someone and just redo it for free. And all we ask is to share that story of Broken to Beautiful, on our blog. And so I love that the things that I do every day are beautiful reminders of that, the brokenness in our life that can be made beautiful. And I also just love creating homes that feel peaceful. Like that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, because it's been day one of our marriage very important to me that home is a safe place that feels peaceful. Um, and by that I mean we're not yellers. We don't yell. We don't swear. And we try to be uplifting in the things that we say in our house. Now, is it always perfect? Absolutely not. Like, I have two teenagers, and that's hard on certain days. But at the same time, just a few weeks ago, I had someone say, or actually, it was over the summer. A couple different friends said, "Can we just come to your house because we feel the most peace when we're sitting at your house?" And I was like, "I'm not even home." They're like, "That's okay. Can we just come sit?" And I was like, "Yes." And that's exactly it. Like, I want to help people create these peaceful experiences in their own home for the opening of sacred moments. And by that, I mean, it could be sacred for yourself. It could be hospitality that brings sacredness through community. And all of that is, I think, ushered in through beautiful design. And it doesn't have to be the most high end design, but it's beautiful for your own experience, like what you find beauty in. And it could be the sounds, it could be the textures, it could be how we bring nature in. But I love creating spaces like that because I think that makes a huge difference in lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. When we built this house, that was my main concern is I wanted this to be a sanctuary, a place of peace, and I love being able to come home and feel comfortable and know that my kids are comfortable and know that others can come over, but the fact that your friends are like, "We'll just come over and sit in your house," like that just shows that God's spirit is there in your home, and your home is a sanctuary, Sarah. And when you help your clients do that in their homes, what a mission, what a faithful mission that you're leaving. Like, that is so beautiful. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, I love it. I feel like I just feel so blessed to be able to do it, especially because I do not have a background in it. I'm the girl that it makes no sense that I should be able to do this every day, but I get to by
Yeah.
his grace. So,
Yep. I feel the same way. I
do
didn't go to
you?
art
Do you have a
school.
background in art? Okay, I was
No.
going to ask that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's all everything that has happened in my career and the process and learning the skills, like it's all glory to God. It's all because of them, and I'm just so grateful. And I'm
yeah,
just like you. Like, it wasn't something. I had the best teachers because I had God.
yeah, yeah. How long
Yeah,
ago did you start painting?
like 20 years ago. So
Okay.
even even God sometimes takes 20 years. Some of us need a lot of work, but it's good.
What was like your first like breaking point that you felt like, oh, I'm becoming more well known?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Probably, I think that my career really started to take off like maybe 2017, 2018. I would have clients tell me that they were feeling stuff in my art. So I feel like for me, a lot of my healing has come from painting. Again, thanks to God. A lot of hard things happened in my life, as it happens to all of us. And, there were parts of me that just had never healed, but painting with God helped me heal. And then I think that what I realized was that as I was creating with God, that those paintings then were also healing others, and they were feeling spiritual comfort, support. They were getting things out of the paintings that I didn't realize were there. Does that make sense?
100%. Yes. Yep. I
And
often, before I walk into a design or even when I'm picking out colors, I'll just pray, like, guide me into this. Like, this is about
yeah.
you and not about me. And so I completely can relate to that thought and heart behind it.
Yeah, and I think that's when my career started taking off. That's when I started having people commission me to do, really big pieces. And so, yeah, it all kind of started about, I don't know. 12 years ago, but really in the last, I don't know what, it hasn't been that long.
8 years,
2018 is not that, yeah, 8 years.
7 years.
Yeah. And really, just the last 5 years, I feel like when COVID hit, God really stepped up and stepped in for me because I don't know about design world, but for us, all of our art shows got canceled. All the opportunities that we usually relied on as artists, they all got canceled. But the year before, my husband had said to me, the kids are getting older and they have activities, and we don't have time to go take your stuff an hour away to a show and get the kids to their activities. Like, we got to come up with a new game plan. And so I just prayed and I gave it to God and I said, you do, you do what you can with this. Like, my focus needs to be my family, needs to be my kids, my husband. They're my top priority. And I just am going to give you the rest. Like, and God delivered. God brought people to my studio. They would just come over and buy stuff or just call me up and commission me. And so I started doing a lot better, even though there were no shows, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
it's amazing how God can do that for us, right?
yeah. Do you find it hard to do commission in the sense of like more pressure because it's not just coming out of your creativity? Look at
Yeah.
me interview.
It is, it's hard. And but
It is
think
hard.
about it, like, you do that every day. You take your specialty and things that you can do, and then you're trying to do the same thing, right?
Right. Right. Because like when I first started, I only painted furniture and sold it. I didn't take commissioned furniture. So
Mhm.
if I put a bird and a tree along the front of a dresser and did it very artistically, if I didn't sell, it didn't sell. Like it didn't feel like, oh,
Yeah.
I hope they like it. But when you have a client who wants a bird and comes in and goes, I didn't want that bird. I said a plump bird. And I was like, it's not fat enough. And she's like, no, I need it to be plump. And I was like, oh, let me make it fatter. Like, it just adds a different pressure to the creativity, you know?
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And it's just hard. I feel like my commissions will take 3 to 4 times longer just because
Mhm.
I'm so
Yeah.
trying to connect and understand where they're coming from. So, it's good to like go
Yeah.
between. It's good to be able to create things that I know will be what I want it to be. Like, take and also like go back and forth between commissions and that, just to have a little balance.
Yes. Yep. I
Yeah.
can relate to that feeling
Yeah,
100%.
totally. Oh, that's amazing. So, you told us a lot about your faith and creating sanctuaries. Was there anything else that you wanted to tell us about just the intersection of the art, the faith, the sanctuaries, like, and even the pro
I
bono
mean,
stuff? Was there anything we didn't touch on?
yeah, we didn't really talk about trauma informed design. That's actually
Yeah.
something that's going to be on our blog. This is coming out tomorrow, but it'll be on there if you scroll back through. If you, I'm not sure when this comes out, but we're talking a lot about that. And in the last year, we've done quite a bit of pro bono trauma informed design, and basically, we're trying to create emotionally safe places through design for the most vulnerable. So we did a sex trafficking home where they take women out of sex trafficking, and there's a 3-year program, and it's 3 different homes. We designed the first one, and it was it was such a beautiful, what felt like being the hands and feet of Jesus moment, because understanding, what affects emotions and ushers in sacred spaces is such a gift to understand more. And there's still so much I need to learn, but we have a room in those spaces that they call the blue room. So it's usually where there's a lot of light. There's no technological distractions, and it's a place for them to pray or meditate. And we try to bring in nature as much as we can in those spaces, and soft textures, and just the way that they enjoy it. I also did a entryway to an entryway and a sitting room to a homeless shelter, where that's a whole different style where you can't bring a lot of the what we call biophilic design. So it's more nature inspired designs, because you can't bring certain textures into those spaces because they have to be very durable, easy to wash. They're not going to water plants, things like that. But trying to create that same feel as you walk in, so that people feel dignified in the spaces and in the moments when they feel the most undignified, right? So that's something I'm really passionate about, is teaching non-for-profits especially, like not-for-profits are so often strapped for money, right? They don't have a lot that
Mhm.
they can bring in for a designer, but I think there's a huge gap that needs to be brought together there, where designers and communities come together to support non-for-profits to create dignified spaces for the most vulnerable in their specialty, right? And I don't care if it, whatever it is, there's always a space. It could be a food pantry that looks like a prison. Why? Why does it look like a prison? As a community, can we come together and make this a space where when they walk in, they say, oh, somebody thought about how we would feel
Mhm.
walking? Because we already feel, "Ugh, we don't want to be walking in here." You know, so it's like, how do we bring up that emotional dignity when they're feeling most vulnerable? And so that's something I'm really passionate about too. And if you go to our blog, funcycle.com, and at the top it'll say blog, you can read through that in more detail and little moments and changes you can make even in your home that feel
Yeah.
emotionally safe, basically.
Wow, such important work, Sarah. That's amazing. Yeah, when we were building this house, I wanted a lot of it to be Montessori based because we had little kids at the time. And I learned a lot just by studying those things, like how to create a home that would be really good for our kids. But you're right, when you're talking about trauma victims, that's a whole different design world and so important because you're right. Like, I never thought about that. But if someone walks in a pantry and it feels like a prison, how are they supposed to heal in that space? That'd be very difficult.
Right. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I know I'm getting off on a little tangent here, but sometimes I've had, at least in kind of this Christian world, some people have challenged me, like, why would you spend your time and energy on design? That just, it's wood, hay, and stubble. It's just going to burn away. All that matters is godliness, right? And I actually am in the middle. I'm done writing a book. It's in edits right now. Talk called Created to Create, and it's talking about the importance of design in our lives and why it can be so important in ushering emotional, spiritual, and physical health. We talk about the neuroscience, and I link to research that talks about exactly how you've been affected. Your mind is affected. Your emotions can be triggered just by the spaces and the way that we design them. And so I think there is a higher calling in that, that
Mhm.
so often it's almost like this negative connotation. Like, I feel like it's sometimes people view it as like vanity, like, oh, the girl who gets too much Botox, like you're just caring too much about the outside stuff. And I think, no, no, no. Everything I'm doing is not because I'm caring too much about the outside stuff. It's because I care about the inside stuff. And I think the
Mhm.
outside stuff affects it tremendously. And so I want to see that for trauma informed. I want to see that through biophilic nature, bringing nature inside. And I want to see that just in general for humans to take time to understand their spaces enough to then um, be aware of what brings peace, what brings joy in their home.
Amen. 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 Yeah, I think about if design didn't matter, then why did God create this beautiful world for us? And why do we find so much peace and sanctuary with God when we go spend time in nature? And why would we go to these beautiful cathedrals and feel something special when we sit and listen to the organ and walk around and look at the artwork and think about Christ? Obviously, design matters. And I know that it's real easy to say, oh, we just need to be super frugal and careful with the money. Yes, absolutely. But you can do that and still have good design. And so, well done for sticking your feet down and be like, I'm sorry, this isn't important. And I can't wait to read your book. That's amazing.
Thanks. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I'll tell you when it's out. It's not
Yeah,
quite ready
totally.
yet, but we're
Tell me when it's out and I'll share on the podcast. And maybe you could even come back too. That would be super fun.
I'd love it.
Um,
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about high school because, and not just high school, but I get people asking me all the time, like, oh, I'm just graduate, like my grandchild is graduating from high school, or I'm graduating from high school, or I want to make a career change. Um, Obviously, you're the perfect person to ask this to because I think a lot of times people feel like that is their calling. Obviously, that was your calling, Sarah, was to kind of switch gears. What would you suggest? Should people in this position, should they go into debt to attend a design school or intern, take workshops from local designers? Should they take online courses or just jump into their career like it kind of sounds like you did? Like, what would you suggest about these types of people?
Sure. So I went on in the philosophy of I really didn't want to start in debt, whether that's college or starting the business. So I do have some business debt now over the years, but that was more because of buying commercial buildings and flipping houses and stuff, not necessarily the other side of it. But for starting the business, I had money. Actually, I didn't even buy the first thing. I got a dresser for free alongside the road. I redid it. I sold it. I took the money from that and I bought two dressers. And then and I just cycled it, building it myself. And that's one of the ways that I always tell people, don't spend a lot, but just see if there's even a market for what you're doing. And it'll become evident pretty quickly. So sometimes I think people have really good ideas that there really just isn't a market for, or they don't have the skills to market it. You have to know what your strengths are. Ask your friends, what are your strengths? Um, what do I do that you think someone would pay for? Now I can tell you in my case, none of my friends would have said painted furniture. None of them. They wouldn't have known because even though I took painting lessons for my whole high school age, I was homeschooled, and so we didn't go in sports. My parents basically said, "What are you interested in, and we'll do that." And I loved painting, so I had art and galleries, and I went to professional painting lessons for years. And so I knew when I started a business, I wanted to be something painting. And but I thought artist is tricky. You usually become famous once you're dead. And so I was like, let's do no offense, but then my husband was like, I love building furniture. And I was like, who makes enough building furniture? I don't know. So I was like, what if we blend the two? Because we care a lot about repurposing. I love to paint. You love furniture. And so that's why I started furniture repurposing. So I knew pretty quickly it was a sustainable model because I knew it could, I didn't quit my job till I made enough to um, pay the bills, right? And then my husband joined me a year and a half later, and same thing. I waited till I had a 6 month wait. So I was commissioned for 6 months of people waiting to do their projects. And then I thought, okay, that means we're ready for John to join me. And then our wait became much shorter. It's about 3 months. And then we started adding kitchen cabinet painting. And then our wait went out again, like 6 months. And then I said, okay, now it's time to bring staff. And then our wait became 3 months. And then we said, okay, let's add another staff member. Okay, now there's, you know, so that's kind of how we built it. We built it as demand was there, and we built it with a team to keep things with 6 months or less of a wait. Our preferred wait time is 3 months at the most. And so as people want to do businesses, that's what I say. Like, don't overspend, don't overcommit until you see that it's going to, once you have that wait. The reason why we were most successful is we were all in. We had no choice, right? Like, once John quit his job, there's no health insurance. There's the only way we're paying bills is through that. And so you hustle hard when that's your only option. And people, that doesn't sound sexy, right? Like, nobody wants to hear you do it because you have to. But that's kind of the key to stepping into success, right? I think.
Yeah.
And then when you're talking specifically in the interior design world, let's say somebody says, "Oh, I really want to do interior design." Well, there are so many famous interior designers that do not have a background in interior design. I have had many interior design interns over the years. You either have the eye or you don't. I don't really think it matters that much. But what I can say is my most successful assistants, design assistants, have been one in particular that sticks out. She was older than me, like I would say late 40s when she started working for me. And she came to me and said, I want to be a designer. I have no experience. I will work for you for free until you can bill for my hours, and then can I go on payroll? And I trained her for 6 months, and she was one of my best design assistants because she had the eye for it, she had the drive for it, and then she had realistic expectations for finances. Because so many people will come out of design school and be like, oh, I should be making this much because you're making this much, and they have no idea the workers' comp, the insurance, the payroll. Like there's just so much behind the scenes, the marketing that we have to pay for. We can't pay you a fraction of what we're making, or we don't have a job, we don't have business, right? So having realistic expectations, getting that experience, and then um, if it's a work environment you love, just keep at it and you'll grow in it and you'll make more. And if it's not an experience you like, then try it out on your own. But it does take a long time to build design on your own. A lot of designers will say, "Oh, I don't know how you do it." Well, it's been 13 years. That's how. Like it's not I wasn't wildly successful in the first 5 years in design. I didn't even start for 8 years, and I had so much artistic background that it kind of naturally walked me into that. So sometimes when you start too soon, just expecting, oh, I can quit my job, you don't have realistic expectations. Like pull together with somebody who is an expert, support them, and it all comes back around. Like we want you to be successful too. We want you to do well, and a good design assistant is worth their weight in gold once they're trained. And any designer knows that. So that's what I would recommend in the design side.
Wow, that's amazing. So many like really hard, like I shouldn't say hard, but like very specific suggestions. I just kept thinking of Dave Ramsey. I'm like, Dave Ramsey would be so proud of you, Sarah.
Yeah,
Because
but I'll
I mean,
have cat slopes, but
no, but seriously, the fact that you didn't quit until you were 6 months out, you didn't, you kept thinking about, okay, we're 3 months out, we're 6 months out, and that kind of like dictated how much help you could have. I think that's just genius. And I was the same way. I just started very small. And when I started making money, I just put it right back into the business because we decided when our oldest was born that we needed to learn how to survive on just one income. And so my income has always been kind of extra, but it has helped with a lot of things. But I think that you're right. Realistic goals. Like I feel like you mentioned that several times. And I think that that's so smart. And sure, if you are the type of person that you think you really need to go into debt and you feel good about that, that's fine. But like people like Sarah and I, we're not willing to sacrifice that, especially with our families. We'd rather just do the best we can, let God be in control, let God lead you. And I think that's really what happened was that you're a perfect example of somebody that walked with God and let God show you the next step, and then you took that next
yeah,
step. That's what it feels like to
100%.
me.
Yeah, and it's the importance of saying yes. Like if that design client hadn't asked me multiple times, I had said no so many times before that. Don't hinder your capabilities by going, oh, I can't. Like if people see it in you and they're asking to pay you for it, step into it. Like trust that
Yeah.
God is stepping you into a path that is good for you. And if you hate it, don't do it again. Like it's not like that's one thing when I went from when I was turning 40, from year 39 to 40, I did 40 new experiences. I tried something I've never tried, 40 different ones in that year. And the thing that it taught me is I need to say that more often. Like I have to say yes to things more often, at least once. I mean, I say that to my kids, like try something once, try the peas once, try Brussels sprouts once. I won't make you keep trying it, but it's really wise to have a growth mindset. And so I learned so much that year, and I was so glad I said yes to so many things. And in business, that's part of it. I know we have this culture where like everything's a boundary. It's a no. Like, nope, that's not my time frame. That's not my call. And I get the heart behind that, right, to a degree, but I can tell you so many things in my life would not be what they were if I didn't go. God, guide my steps, direct my steps, and give me open doors to step into what your best is for me, and then say yes when they happen, and see if that's his
Mhm.
best. If it doesn't align with our family values, our Christian values. I just had something happen this week where I had said yes to it. It was a really bad experience. And then I had to say, unfortunately, I can't promote this. I'm an influencer locally too. And something came up where I was like, there's nothing about this that I can put on my blog and say, hey, families, go experience this. And that was hard because I felt bad. I felt like they gave me this free
Mhm.
experience. They want me to promote it, and I could be burning a huge bridge here. But the more I sat in it, the more I thought, this just does not align with what I believe God would want me to promote. And so I had to say no. And they took it great. Like they were like, we totally understand. Please keep coming back. Hopefully your experience next time will be different. But, so there's moments that then it's a no once I step through, but I'm never sad that I stepped through.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I remember beginning stages, I needed to say yes to everything because, like you're saying, you don't know unless you try it. And so I had to
Mhm.
try a million things with my business, with my process, with my career. And then eventually, yes, you have to be really, you got to have the spirit with you, God's spirit with you, so that you can discern when there is a no, like a hard no, like you're talking about. Like that happens. And it's hard to say no, but sometimes we do have to say no. And I think you're right. I think it is. It's that balance though too. But I think in the beginning, if you're not saying the majority of the time yes, you're missing opportunities, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
many good
absolutely.
things. Okay, so truly
Yeah.
there are so many creatives, well, things that creatives want to do, but there's only 24 hours a day. And I can tell you're a very busy creative. So, what are some of the hard choices that you've made? What are some things that you've had to give up to pursue those creative passions?
Oh, I don't think anyone's ever asked me this. This is a good one. This is a good one. This is literally something that came up this week. Someone said to me, "Oh, you know Sarah Chop? She is the girl that does 48 hours of work in 24." And I thought, that's weird. No one's ever said that to me before. I mean, people always say like, "You're so productive. You're such a good whatever powerhouse." Blah blah blah. But um, yeah, it comes at the expense of things, right? Like I can't do all that I do without sacrificing something. And if I'm honest, a lot of the sacrificing is my own rest, which is not necessarily helpful. Like, I'm in a month long season where I am at the end of it. Like, I'm not sure I can push what I've been pushing because we had a fall festival, an art gallery. I'm finishing up the book. I've had 3 trips that I've had to go on, and I have one more left for a design conference in Austin this Friday. I leave. And so once I get through that, like a huge priority for me is rest. And it's not always as balanced as people want to make it seem like it can be. Like one thing that we talk about a lot in our family is we work hard so we can play hard. So it doesn't sound that exciting from like a balance perspective. But what I can say is when I'm off with my family, I try to really be off with my family. I
Mhm.
I work hard, I hustle hard, I hardly ever watch TV. I hardly waste time. Like I'm a people connector. Like if you were to say what have I had to sacrifice, it's probably sacrifice friendship more than I want to. Only because entrepreneurial endeavors can be really lonely, so you really need to prioritize it. And I do. Like I do prioritize probably 5 people that I can connect with weekly, and some are daily. But I could probably be close friends to 30 people if I didn't own a business.
Yeah.
And so trying to find people who understood that and have patience in it is such a gift, right? And thankfully, God has provided those people over the years. But do I feel lonely some days? Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday was one of those like, I feel pretty lonely. And it was triggered over something so stupid. I went to church and my one good friend who I always sit with didn't save me a seat. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I probably haven't been connecting with her enough. Like, she feels a little distant. And then I was in my head about it. And then I was like totally sad about it. It's like something so silly, like saving a seat at church can be like, oh, I look forward to that so much, you know? Um, and so that has been a big expense. And then, uh, I would say it also takes a toll relationally when you're working in business with your family. Like you have a lot of deep growth you have to do when you're working with your husband every day, when your teenagers work for you. We have to have a lot of deep hard conversations. We spend a lot of money on therapy. I'm a huge like even if you feel like things are good, therapy is good because things come up that you don't even realize you're pushing down, you know? And so I'm a huge proponent of that. And then making sure ministry is a priority. That's another thing too. Like sometimes that takes the back burner because I'm like, I can't always do everything I want to do. And right now I'm only really leading one large women's event we have at our church called Bloom. And it's twice a year, but it's huge. And so I'm helping on the leadership team for that. But I used to do so much more, you know? So in some ways that has taken a pause, but I know it's seasons. I have teens. I need to be there. I want to be there, even though it seems like they need us the least right now. As you can probably understand, I feel like emotionally they need us the most right now. And it's a lot of faith talks, it's a lot of emotional talk, it's a lot of what does the future look like and how do we navigate that with grace. Yeah, so I know it's a long answer, but there's all different ways that I feel like you have to sacrifice.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for being so honest. There were so many things that you talked about that I just feel like I completely understand about the friendship, about being feeling lonely sometimes. And yet it's just a part of life, and you're right. And we do have to let things go sometimes, like you're talking about ministry. There are seasons when we can really focus on serving others, and there's seasons where we're focusing on serving within our home. And just being able to be close enough to God to know when those times are is super important. And then I also loved how you talked about balance, because I'm the same way. Like, I'll push really hard for a big event, and then I'm the same way. I just need to rest. I need to give myself a couple weeks where I'm not committed to anything. I have no obligations, because I have to give myself time to recharge. And not everybody has that. A lot of people have a very balanced week. And it sounds like you and I, it's like months. We'll push hard for months, and then it's like, okay, we gotta take a break here, and then we'll push hard again for a month or two. And that's just,
Yes.
maybe it's a creative it's a creative thing.
Yeah, I think it's a role. I heard, you know, Ginger Z. She's a meteorologist. She was the first female meteorologist for national TV, and she talked about that. And I was like waiting for this eloquent response of like, this is how I stay balanced. And she's like, yeah, I can't. Like, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have time, and sometimes I don't, and we have to give grace for that. And I was like, oh, that makes me feel a lot better because
Mhm.
it's that everyday unless you have a 9 to 5 very structured schedule, very non financially risky business. It's not realistic to think that that can be your everyday. And so we talk about that as a family too. Like last week, my kids and my husband, for our fall festival, they said, well, I never want to do this again. This is so much work. We don't even make money. Why are we doing all this? And blah, blah. I'm like, guys, it's the long game. It's the long game. This week sucks. My husband literally said, this is the worst work week of my entire life. He literally said it to me. He's like, I can't believe you make us do this. And I said, number one, I'm not sure it's the worst. Do you remember this and this and this? Like, I think that's a little worse. And he's like, I mean, I guess, but it feels. And I was like, okay, but we'll reevaluate after. But I swear, after 1 week, we'll get through it. And then next week, it won't feel like this. So having that long end game mindset is helpful. And you probably feel that way too if you have to have big like galleries ready and things like that. So,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we have this big event called Swiss Days, and it's once a year. And our little town of like 5 to 6,000 people all of a sudden has over 100,000 people in our little valley. And and it's so much fun, and it's so exciting, but it's just so much work for the whole family. Everyone's involved, everyone's a part of it, and we're exhausted afterwards, right? And some years are
yeah.
better than others. Some years were more positive than others, and it just, like you say, it's all about the long game. And when it comes to balance, I think I more or less, I look at the whole year. I know this is terrible, but I like to look at the whole year and say, God, am I in, maybe not balance, but am I in sync with you? Am I in sync with my kids? Am I in sync with my husband? Right. And so for me, it's about, like, I look at every day and I think, okay, can I have a personal connection with every one of my 5 kids and my husband every day? Like, and a connection with God. If I can make sure and have that, then maybe it's not balance, but I feel like I can keep going to the next day. Does that make sense? They're like touch points. And in French, there's this beautiful word. It's called bonheur, and it's basically that special time with family and loved ones. And you want to have that memory every day. Like, that's just something in France that they think is really important. And I'm like, I need to have that with each one of my, individually. Like, I would love to have a happy, wonderful memory with my whole family once a day, but I had to, with everyone's different schedules, I'm like, I just need to be able to have a touch point with each of them every day. And then maybe that's not perfect balance, but overall, as a year, if my relationship is solid with each of those individuals, then I feel like life is good.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And, a practice I did with a close friend of mine last year, and this sways stronger and less. less is strong, um, stronger and weaker. My brain, it's I'm tired today. Um,
You're
but
doing
I
great.
helpful is that thinking of friendship, and I'm sure you've heard similar things like this, but like your family's your core, right? Let's say you're very direct family, like your kids and your husband, that's it. And then there's that next layer of like, who do I want to be closely connected with every day? And it'll be like, my parents, for instance, and it might be week, it might be every week, not every day. So my parents and these four friends, these are like my village, these are my people. And then after that, who's the next 10 that are still very closely connected with me? And it helped me kind of reset my mind in the sense that, like, let's say I have a free time and I'm driving, I'll say, oh, well, did I text my son or talk to my son today? Because we're both going different directions with his work. Okay, let me do that real quick. Have I texted or talked to my daughter? How about my husband? Then once I make sure, okay, yeah, I chatted with them. We all had breakfast together. We're all doing well. Everybody seems in a good space. Then I'll say, oh, have I talked to my mom this week? Oh, no, I haven't. Let me give her a call. And so it helps me prioritize making sure the people who are a priority get contacted at least weekly and maybe
Yeah.
more. But sometimes I got obsessed with calling whoever called. Like whoever reached out, that's who heard from me versus prioritizing the people that are most important. So that's helpful for me. And I know it feels very like linear almost, but from a time perspective and from a people prioritizing perspective, it helped me go, oh, no, no, wait, this person is a priority and I haven't made them one. So they're going to get a call today, and
Yeah.
it just helped a lot in my relationships.
Oh, absolutely. I love how you can break things down so systematically, Sarah. I can just tell that like that's one of the reasons why you are so successful is that you're taking something very personal and you're still finding this logical system to make it work. And that works for me too, but like I can tell that that has helped you tremendously and I think it's so beautiful how you can explain that because I think a lot of times we just get overwhelmed and say, I don't know how to make good relationships in my space, in my life, and with my priorities. But like, I love how you just walked us through that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I do think like that logically,
Yeah,
but
no, I
yeah.
think it's so helpful. I think it's super helpful. Well, this has been a treat. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your example of being a woman of Christ. Thank you for your example of showing how design can truly change lives and enhance our lives and create sanctuaries. And just for the service and ministry that you're doing. Like, I know you talked about feeling like you have to take a break at your ministry, but look what you're doing with the trauma design. Look what you're doing with, the fun cycle, the little almost like scholarship things that you're giving to people to redo their spaces. All those things are ways that you are being the hands of God. And I think that's so special. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was tearing up earlier. It's our turn. I feel
Anyways,
about you for all the art that you bring to this world and the beauty that you can feel God in it and being sensitive to Him. And even this conversation, I feel like I'm chatting with a friend over coffee. I don't feel like I'm on a podcast. So this is just beautiful. Anytime you need a friend, I'm here.
I know, me too. Put me on one of your outer rings so you don't feel
Okay,
obligated,
okay.
but that would be super fun. Well,
Yeah,
Sarah, thank
same.
you again. This has been amazing. So, I have a list of places that people can follow you. So, for example, funcycle.com, Instagram at funcycled, Facebook is also funcycled,
Yeah.
facebook.com. Anyways, I'm going to put the links, but then I think your
Okay.
blog would be a great place for people to check out. And then I have to throw this in. Sarah and her
Yeah.
family were in Survivalist, BYU's Survivalist 3 years ago. It aired 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Sarah?
I think it aired in 2023. Yeah. If I'm
2023. So go check out that. I'll link to that as well.
Yeah, it's called Sharks in the Water. If you look up BYU Survivalist Sharks in the Water, and it's a free app. You can just download the app and then go to the show. I think it's season 2, if I'm remembering correctly. But we had to swim with whale sharks, and my husband's afraid of swimming in anything he can't touch the bottom of. So yes, and he didn't jump in with us. I had to pull him in. What are you going? So
That is
yeah,
so funny.
yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that. Well, those are great. Are there any other places that I should add?
Well, funcycled.com/free, we have some free design tips that people can get we created this little brochure where they can kind of read through some of my top picks of products that I like and just free tips for making your house feel more like your own home. So that's just a little extra that we wanted to do for the podcast as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll totally
Yeah.
find that link and link that in the show notes too. That'll be amazing.
Okay.
And again, thank you again for all that you're doing to make this world just a better place, and just really appreciate you. And I loved spending time with you today. So thank you,
Me
Sarah.
too. Thank you. And if you're ever in upstate New York, come see me.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Much love from
All right.
Sarah and I.
You too. Is